Neighborhood. Just basically doing a home visit here. Martin Mcmahon, the one who is responsible for Kylee Dixon being removed from her home in a medical kidnap situation. She was put in a life-threatening surgery against her wishes, and she's currently missing in the foster care system, is being kept from her mom. So that's essentially wrapping up pretty quickly why we're out here. Tomorrow we will be moving back to DHS and spending the week out there. Joey Gibson will be joining us. If you guys want to come out, it's 315 Beaver Creek Road out in Oregon City. And we'd love to have you guys join us, keep making a stand for these children. We've got over 500,000 children right now across this country in the foster care system, and a lot of them have loving homes that they want to go back to that they're currently being kept from. So if we don't care about the children in this country, then I'm not sure that anything we stand for or fight for is much of a noble cause.
7 o'clock, Oregon City, Oregon, 315 Beaver Creek Road. I'll be down there. Joey Gibson's going to be down there with his crew. Several of us are all going to be down there, so please come down there and support us, and mainly supporting and bringing awareness to Kylee Dixon here. Kylee Dixon.
Kylie's Fight is on Facebook. You can find that, support her mother. She's got a tremendous legal battle ahead. We're waiting on a status hearing that should be coming up this week to find out if the no contact order will be lifted, and see if old Marty will do the right thing and move the courts to start reuniting Kylee and her mother and get her back home. We'd love to see that happening. If he files a motion, maybe a 30-day motion to start getting things in process for her to come back home, that would definitely take a lot of this off of our plates, to know that he was doing the lawful thing so that we could kind of go back to fighting some other causes right now. So Marty, if you're watching, please do the right thing so we can all go back to fighting for other people, other prisoners and whatnot across this country. We also want to bring some attention to LaVoy Finicum. Today is the 4-year anniversary since he was murdered by a combination of Oregon State Patrol as well as the FBI. FBI blamed one of the bullets on Oregon State Patrol. Oregon State Patrol blamed on the FBI. We do know Casey Cotting was one of the main murderers. He shot 2 of the bullets into LaVoy Finicum's back on that road heading to John Day. So we thought we'd just do maybe a 3 or 4 minute update or recap, if you will, on what the refuge was about, what they were standing for, and just kind of pay a moment of tribute to LaVoy.
You know, the main reason LaVoy went to Burns, Oregon was for the Hammond family. That was the only reason. The Hammond family had already been put in prison once for starting a backfire that should have been totally lawful to protect their ranch. They started this backfire, and if anybody doesn't understand what a backfire is, it's somebody will start a fire when there's another big fire coming. So they started this fire to stop a fire that was going to already potentially burn their whole ranch anyway. So they was just trying to protect their cattle, their ranch, and their home from this gigantic fire that the BLM had started in to begin with. So they started this fire. It burnt very little grass. It's the only damage it done.
$100 is the following year what they said it damaged in just brush. 100 acres, $100 is what the end damage was, and the Hammonds ended up getting put away for, they were sentenced to a 5-year term as domestic terrorists for arson.
Well, Steve Hammond spent 1 year of that 5 years. Dwight Hammond spent 3 months is all he spent. And then they got resentenced to go back and spend the full 5 years in prison. So that was the horrible thing about the whole thing, why everybody was going back, that they was being sent back after they had been released from prison and resentenced.
And this was all a land grab, as all this was after. Their land is very valuable out there in Harney County, Oregon. They had run all the other ranchers off. They're getting down to just the final few. Of course, we got Clive and Bundy out in Nevada, the Finicum Ranch in Arizona, and then the Hammond Ranch in Oregon. And LaVoy was there to stand up for his neighbor, much like Ammon has done multiple times with individuals. Even Kylee, he said, hey, if we have to help and protect Kylee, we will. And LaVoy showed up to Harney County to say, hey, if we have to protect the Hammonds, then that's what we do as Americans. We definitely don't just feed them to the wolves and just give up our property rights.
So again, today is the 4-year anniversary that LaVoy Finicum was murdered. All of us are remembering that across the country today. There are hundreds and thousands of people that know about that case and know about LaVoy, but we don't want to let LaVoy be him die in vain. We want to keep remembering the sacrifice that he did that day for the Hammond family and many other people in the rights around this country.
And if you guys go and Google One Cowboy Stand for Freedom, you'll find that Jeanette Finicum is still fighting that legal battle. In fact, we find out in March if this case, the wrongful death suit for $77 million, if that will go to trial or not. Jeanette still needs help and support funding her legal fees every month. If you can come out to Portland,
March 6th.
March 6th, be down on 3rd Avenue down in Portland at the federal courthouse. We'll have all of our LaVoy signs out there. We'll be down there standing and listening to the testimonies to see if they're going to move forward and let this case go forward to trial. We definitely want them held responsible. You know, I'm not sure if this is the means to do it, but it's something. And so we're just praying that this still moves forward. 4 years, nobody has faced any charges for the death of LaVoy Finicum. Governor Kate Brown and OSP and the FBI all deemed that it was a warranted shooting. LaVoy Finicum was trying to get to John Day, of course, where it's a UN-free zone, and they were stopped back on the highway. They were shot at long before they even got out of any of their vehicles. The whole scene was an absolute, it was a dead man's roadblock. They're illegal. They're not even allowed to happen the way that it was done. And when LaVoy jumped out of the truck with his hands in the air, they were opening fire on his vehicle. He had an 18-year-old girl in the car that was there to do their Christian choir singing that was going on at the refuge. Shauna Cox was in the car. Ryan Bundy was in the car. Ryan Payne had jumped out previously. But every one of them could have been killed. And they never posed a threat to anybody, never returned fire. And LaVoy, of course, was killed and left face down in the snow for hours. I mean, to the point he had frostbite is what came back up on his autopsy because they left him there for so long.
There are 2 ways that I know that you can support the Finicum family. I know you can go on their Facebook page and find their PayPal links and their other support links, but there are 2 books that are written, one by LaVoy Finicum and the other by LaVoy Finicum's daughter. Both books are awesome books. If you buy those books, that will help fund this fight that they're fighting here to bring justice to LaVoy, to a loving husband and father to 11 children. So if any of you haven't read the book, I encourage you to buy either one or both books. I know that's Blood and Suffering is the one.
Only by Blood and Suffering by LaVoy Finicum, and then The Murder of LaVoy Finicum,
yes,
as told by his daughter, Tara Tenney. So you can get those on, both of them on Amazon. You can also get them directly off of the website, One Cowboy Stand for Freedom. And that's a great way you can get shirts and other ways to support the family too. That way, and just keep spreading his message. You know, LaVoy had all kinds of quotes that we like to say, but the main one is some things are more important than your life, and freedom is one of them. And LaVoy was not afraid to die for freedom. He was probably more afraid to be locked into a box the rest of his life and live as a slave. And you know, he stood as such a principled man with such great conviction. But what struck me the most about him watching on his film is that he was fearless. And you know there was probably fear going on, but he stood there in front of agents with guns, and he stood on the understanding and the belief that the Constitution guaranteed and protected his God-given rights, that he didn't have to fear these tyrants, he just had to stand. That's all he had to do was stand up against them when they tried to infringe upon his or his neighbor's rights.
Another saying I like that he always said is, "You're wasting your oxygen, son."
You're wasting your oxygen, son. I think I'm using that one more and more when I'm talking to police. You're wasting your oxygen, son.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. Most people don't know. I know, but most people don't know. What is a UN free zone?
Well, it's an area where the county has decided that no UN forces are allowed within that, and John Day was that area. So we have UN forces all over our country. So people don't realize that. They don't realize that a lot of our country is owned by China. The mineral rights, there's a lot of our country that is not what we think it is. So John Day was a threat because if the UN was involved in that ambush, they had to stop them before they got into the town of John Day. and that is where the Sheriff Glenn Palmer was willing to host them at a meeting and try to understand what it was they were teaching and give them a platform. And of course, it wasn't, they weren't a threat to the public, they were a threat to the tyrants, and that's exactly why they shot them, was to silence their message. In fact, Harry Reid at one point had said the virus, they needed to stop the virus before it spread. But I think here we are 4 years later, and we're living proof and testimony that the virus has continued to spread. Had it not been for LaVoy Finicum, I would not be standing out here today for Kylee Dixon.
We'd like to also thank all the supporters that have been helping with Kylee Dixon the last several days, over a week now, with everything. The supporters just flowed in today, brought in food, drinks, all kinds of things from all over. We'd like to thank everybody who showed up down here the last couple of days with everything they have done. Everybody's been awesome. A lot of great people, peaceful people, people that are just fighting for liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, it's been a really great day out here, great support. Please keep sending those messages for Kylee to DHS, letting Steve is who you can address the current messages to. He's the lead on the case now, a little bit over Marty. I know Marty's phone line has been shut off, so you guys can reach out to Steve at the Oregon City DHS office and let him know that it's time for Kylee to go home. So thank you for your guys' support. It's been a good day out here today. We had a great barbecue, and thank you, Gavin Syme, for helping me on the flyers so that we can get those passed out to this neighborhood and help this neighborhood understand what a threat people like Marty are to their children's safety and what a threat really the whole agency is to this country.
Again, Oregon City, Oregon tomorrow, 315 Beaver Creek Road.
All right, God bless you guys. Thanks for watching.